Hey everyone, how y'all doing? Welcome to another episode of Hockey on the Spot. Brandon Barenfeld. I'm Brandon Barenfeld. Thank you for joining me today. This is Wayne Gretzky episode, folks. Episode 99. And only one more episode to go until my 100th. So I'm really excited. Really excited to get through this. So without further ado, let's get right to the updates. 4 games last night and this day in hockey history. Lots of real interesting updates to talk about today, starting with my promised update on the whole situation with the Florida Panthers and their coaching situation. They have officially fired head coach Kevin Dineen and assistant coaches Gord Murphy and Craig Ramsey, which is really interesting. I didn't expect the assistant coaches to get fired, just the head. Peter Horachek, who was coaching the franchise's American Hockey League club, the San Antonio Rampage, has been named the club's new interim head coach. In addition, the team announced that both Brian Skrudland and John Madden will join the Panthers staff as assistant coaches. This is all coming on short notice, so basically until either these three prove themselves or they find someone better, some people that are better and more qualified for this job, they really don't have a real coaching staff at the moment. That's what happens when you get interim coaches. Florida Panthers general manager Dale Talon says, "Changing our coaches was just the beginning of the changes we want to make. They worked very hard, but the message was not getting through. We're all responsible for this record. Our best players need to play better or else they won't be Panthers much longer. I've been trying extremely hard to make a trade and will keep trying. I hope something will hit in the near future." I trust Dale Talon for his ability to make something happen. He did it. He made a Chicago Blackhawk team that was just in the pits and not going anywhere for a really long time, had terrible youth, and he just turned a team that was expected to go nowhere for basically the rest of their franchise, or at least a very long time, into a team of champions. That's exactly what he did, and Stan Bowman has only just helped the franchise go farther. The only reason he got fired from Chicago was because he put the team over the cap and in a bad situation. So I think if Dale Talon could do it in Chicago, he can definitely do it in Florida. However, it's not going to be easy. In fact, I actually think that changing this Florida team is going to be even harder than changing that Chicago team, because this was a team, let's face it, up until 2011, 2012, they had the longest playoff slump in NHL history. 12 years or 11 years without making the playoffs, which is ridiculous. So, I think Dale Talon will get this team on its feet someday. Hopefully that day comes soon, because I do like the Florida Panthers. I think they're a good franchise, real nice jerseys. I like their team. And the Florida Panthers have also placed defenseman Ryan Whitney on waivers. Let's face it, folks, Ryan Whitney has not been what they bargained for. He was a solid defenseman for the Edmonton Oilers, but has not been anything close to that with the Florida Panthers. He has been a major disappointment. And if he clears waivers, don't be surprised if we see him playing in the American Hockey League. And it's a shame, because he's a former 5th overall pick, and he's got that big shot from the point that he used to devastate opponents with back in his days as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins and during his time with the Edmonton Oilers when he was healthy. With the Anaheim Ducks and with the Florida Panthers, he has just been a real disappointment. So, we'll see what happens. Philadelphia media is reporting that the Philadelphia Flyers are talking to the Edmonton Oilers about Jordan Eberle after having a team-only meeting yesterday where it was determined that a change needs to happen. Rumblings out of Philly suggest that Claude Giroux or a package deal involving a defenseman or goalie could go the other way. This is real interesting. I did not expect Jordan Eberle to be the player leaving Edmonton. I think we all expected it to be Nail Yakupov, but Eberle, it's a real interesting move. Eberle, though, I guess they feel that he has not had that great of a season. We're about to check his statistics right now, but this is a real shocker to me. Indeed, and yes, he is the leading scorer of the Edmonton Oilers this season. Now, granted, that a lot of that has to do with the fact that Taylor Hall missed 7 games and has been their best player since coming back. But Jordan Eberle is their leading point scorer this season, 13 points in 17 games. Now, 10 of those points are coming from assists. He's not scoring goals like he's supposed to, because this is a player who's much more of a goal scorer. Slick hands, just some of the sickest hands in the league. It's just really shocking to hear this. And I think we're going to find a lot of shocks down the road. St. Louis Blues forward Alexander Steen is the first player to score in each of his club's first 10 wins of an NHL season since Philadelphia Flyers forward Eric Lindros in 1993-94. Steen is also just the 5th player since the start of 1999-2000 to record at least 14 goals in his team's first 14 games. Steen is just having an unbelievable season. He is one of the league's best players right now. He is just motivated. He is just motivated right now, and he's just playing out of this world hockey. That's what he's doing. The Washington Capitals have re-signed forward Jason Chimera to a 2-year contract extension worth $4 million or $2 million a year. And I like this move a lot because Jason Chimera has really been a valuable part of this team's depth since day one. They acquired him in a trade deadline trade back in 2010 from the Columbus Blue Jackets. And he is just a veteran on this team. He's a leader, and he brings grit and he brings heart to this team. And he also, of course, is now has come together with Mikhail Grabovski and Joel Ward to collaborate a third line for the ages, a third line that had 10 points in that 7-0 victory over the Philadelphia Flyers the other night. Jason Chimera has just been a nice player for them for so many years. With the Panthers firing Kevin Dineen and the Flyers letting Peter Laviolette go already this NHL season, that makes it 26 head coaching changes in the last 3 seasons. The longest coaching tenure seasons are Barry Trotz of the Nashville Predators, 16 seasons, Mike Babcock of the Detroit Red Wings, 9 seasons, Claude Julien of the Boston Bruins, 7 seasons, Joel Quenneville of the Chicago Blackhawks, and Todd McClellan of the San Jose Sharks, both at 6. Dave Tippett of the Phoenix Coyotes and Dan Bilesma of the Pittsburgh Penguins, both 5. And Jack Capuano of the New York Islanders, 3. Everyone else has 2 seasons or less. So, heading into last night's New Jersey Devils Toronto Maple Leafs game, Jaromir Jagr is just 1 point shy of 1,700 for his NHL career. Jagr currently sits 8th all-time with points, 24 behind Mario Lemieux for 7th. Jagr also sits 10th all-time with 685 goals, just 5 behind Lemieux for 9th. 8th is Steve Yzerman with 692, and 7th is Mark Messier with 694. Unfortunately for Jagr, he did not get point number 1,700 last night, and we will talk more about that in a second. The Anaheim Ducks are about to experience some very hard decisions due to their outstanding goaltender depth. The Ducks sit first in the league with a 13-3-1 record, largely thanks to their goalies with Jonas Hiller and Victor Frost combined for 9 of Anaheim's wins, while call-up Frederik Andersen, replacing the injured Victor Frost, has won his first 4 starts. He's won his first 4, well now 5 starts. Meanwhile, John Gibson, the club's future in net, is standing on his head in the American Hockey League with 2 shutouts in 9 games, a 1.61 goals against average, and a .951 save percentage. 161 goals against average. NHL legends Scott Niedermayer, Chris Chelios, and Brendan Shanahan were officially inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame yesterday. Women's player Geraldine Heaney and Stanley Cup winning head coach Fred Shero were also inducted yesterday. Pittsburgh Penguins general manager Ray Shero was there to accept on behalf of his father Fred, who passed away in 1990. Big moment indeed for these players. Shanny, of course, head of NHL player safety. Scott Niedermayer, an assistant coach right now for the Anaheim Ducks. Chris Chelios, not too active in the NHL community, I don't believe. But great honor for these players. Real great honor. Winnipeg Jets forward Evander Kane returned to Winnipeg's lineup last night. Kane was not happy after being held out of Wednesday's game against the Chicago Blackhawks due to injury. Kane says, "I felt healthy enough to play. My definition of a healthy scratch is a healthy player not playing. That was my interpretation." So, very interesting indeed. Now we get to a couple of really interesting updates, both revolving around the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers have traded defenseman Ladislav Schmid and prospect goaltender Olivier Roy to the Calgary Flames, of all teams, for forward Roman Horak and prospect goaltender Laurent Brossoit, or however you say his name. Brossoit. This is a real interesting for this reason. When do you ever see the Edmonton Oilers and the Calgary Flames making a deal with each other? These are 2 arch-rival teams. They barely ever make deals with each other. Now, you often see free agents from one go to the other, but not trades. This does not happen, and it's a real shock that they would even think about trading a defenseman who has been a staple on their blue line since 2007 to the arch-rivals. And he was also the key piece in that Chris Pronger trade with the Anaheim Ducks from many years ago. So, a shutdown blue liner going to the arch rival. The only other time I remember them ever making a trade was when the Oilers traded Steve Staios to the Flames, which was a real shock. I believe Steve Staios may have been the captain at the time, too. But moving on, what this trade does, though, the Oilers needed to free up some cap space because they wanted to sign a goaltender who we'll talk about in a second. And for the Calgary Flames, this gives them a little bit of stability on their blue line. They're already without Mark Giordano for a while. They're without Christopher Breen for a while. Their defense is a mess right now. And they needed another blue liner, one that's going to bring stability to their blue line, a guy who can block shots. And that is exactly what Schmid does. That's his game. That is his game. He's a shot-blocking defenseman. And he is a shot-blocking defenseman, and you know he has been a key part of the Oilers' blue line for many years now. So to see a player like him leave is just a real big shock to me. It really is. I'll be really honest. In 17 games, he only has 1 goal and 1 assist this year. But again, he's not an offensive defenseman. Blocking shots, that was always his forte. But for many years he's been a part of this blue line for 7 full years. So, really big shock. And so the Calgary Flames, they're going to be happy with this one. And then going the other way, Roman Horak, another young forward for the Edmonton Oilers. He's got a promising future in the NHL as a solid top 6 player. He's going to be a solid top 6 player, and a guy like him could actually end up developing some chemistry. But he's only played 1 game this whole season. He's only played 1 game this whole season. He hasn't broken out yet, like they wanted him to, the Czech Republic native. But he's definitely getting chances, and he's also a center, and he can also play left wing. So he'll be a really interesting fit he'll be a very interesting fit for the Edmonton Oilers, that's for sure. And then of course you got the 2 prospect goaltenders, which are both expected to be good, but we don't know too much about them. And with the trade of Vladislav Schmid to the arch rival, the Edmonton Oilers got themselves enough money to sign goaltender Ilya Bryzgalov to a 1-year deal. This is a move that I think the Oilers had been really, really needing for a while. I know they had their eye on a guy like Jonas Hiller for a while, but now that is not necessary at the moment. Ilya Bryzgalov's been working real hard down in the East Coast Hockey League. I believe with the Las Vegas Wranglers. Of course, last played in the NHL last season for the Philadelphia Flyers. It did not work out for the Flyers with him. But what the Oilers get with Bryzgalov is a veteran goaltender who has a voice to be heard. He actually does have a Stanley Cup ring, but of course it wasn't his to be won. It was J.S. Giguere winning that one, but he was just the backup. But Bryzgalov, of course, we all know the prime of his career came when he was a member of the Phoenix Coyotes. Those last 2 years in Phoenix were the best 2 years of his career, especially that 3rd season in Phoenix. That 3rd season, he had 44 wins and was a finalist for the Vezina Trophy. Bryzgalov is a goaltender who really deserved it. Who really deserved what he got in Phoenix. And when he went to the Philadelphia Flyers, he just wasn't the same. He started off good, but then he just broke, He has not been the same. He was not a motivated player last year. He almost went to the KHL. He saw his time in net diminish. He lost it to Steve Mason. But for the Oilers, they get a solid goaltender, in my opinion, and I think he's going to add some stability in goal to their team. Because let's face it, folks, Devan Dubnyk, Jason LaBarbera, they're not working out. We thought that Richard Bachman was going to be good for them after that first game, despite the loss, but nope, he didn't work out either. So the Oilers really need a goaltender, and right now Bryzgalov is what they got to get right now. If he doesn't work out, then they'll have to look at other options, maybe look back into trading for a guy like Jonas Hiller, or maybe for a guy like Michael Neuvirth of the Washington Capitals. So we'll see what happens as time moves on. Florida Panthers forward Jesse Winchester gets a 3-game suspension for his hit on Boston Bruins forward Chris Kelly. We knew this was coming. Yes. So congratulations to... Well, wait, what am I saying? Congratulations to Brendan Shanahan on making another suspension. So Jesse Winchester getting suspended now. And he's actually been one of the upsides for the Florida Panthers this year. He's had somewhat of a breakout year for a team that really needs help. So this is kind of a decent-sized loss for the Panthers, actually, with the way he's played. The Edmonton Oilers are negotiating hard with the Philadelphia Flyers to acquire forward Wayne Simmons and are offering Ales Hemsky, but the Flyers want Jordan Eberle. Both sides want a shake-up, but each want the better deal. This is basically a make or break situation. One of these two is going to break down and just take any offer they can get. Let's face it, the Oilers need a little bit of grit and veteranship in the locker room. The Flyers, they need youth. They need youth. They need a future. That's what they need. They need to rebuild. They absolutely need to be rebuild. For Ilya Bryzgalov, he's going to practice with the team, then he will practice with the Edmonton Oilers, then play a few games with the Oklahoma City Barons of the American Hockey League before making his Edmonton debut. I just hope he doesn't get hurt, and hopefully the Oilers can hold on while he is down there. The Calgary Flames are believed to be looking to make other moves and could move pending unrestricted free agent Matt Stajan, while GMs around the league are keeping tabs on Mike Camilleri. Face it, Mike Camilleri would be a gem for the trade deadline acquisitions. Now, with Thomas Vanek officially traded, now Mike Camilleri is going to be the player to watch because he's having an unbelievable season, actually. He has been their best player since returning to the lineup. Sean Monahan hasn't been as good since the beginning of the year, but for Mike Camilleri, this is a guy who would add a lot of scoring to a team that needs offense. So keep a close eye on him. Keep a very close eye on him. And that is all your updates for today, folks. There were a lot, 21 minutes worth, 22 minutes worth. Sorry about that. But now we can get to the games. 4 games from last night's action. So let's jump right on it. Starting with the New Jersey Devils and the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto. For the New Jersey Devils facing off against David Clarkson for the first time this season. They believe they played the Toronto Maple Leafs once already this year. Clarkson was not a part of that game because he was serving a 10-game suspension, so big night indeed. Even though it wasn't in New Jersey, it was in Toronto. But for the New Jersey Devils, going up against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and going up against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And actually, this was the first time they went up against the Leafs this season. But Clarkson, has yet to really break out for the Leafs. He hasn't broken out just yet. He hasn't been scoring like he was in New Jersey. But he's done other little things like being a physical player and a nuisance on the ice. But he didn't do much last night. Just straight zeros, just 2 shots on goal. He did have 3 hits. Against his former team. But the Leafs, despite Clarkson not really playing all that well, the Leafs coming up with a big win over the New Jersey Devils by a final score of 2-1 in a shootout. Both goals coming in the third period and on the power play for both teams. The Toronto Maple Leafs, their power play goal would be scored by Phil Kessel, his 10th of the year, as he dazzled around 3 New Jersey defensemen, assisted by Cody Franson, his 10th assist of the year. After that, for the New Jersey Devils, their power play goal would be scored by Michael Ryder, his 5th of the year, assisted by Eric Gelinas and Andy Green. Eric Gelinas has just been a fine call-up for the New Jersey Devils, despite how bad their season's been. In the shootout, Maple Leafs go with Mason Raymond, Phil Kessel, and James Van Riemsdyk, while the Devils go with Michael Ryder, Travis Zajac, and Adam Henrique. James Van Riemsdyk, the only player for either team that would score in the shootout, allowing the Leafs for a 2-1 victory in the shootout. Devils get a point, but not good enough to get the win. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, how about Joffrey Lupul and Phil Kessel leading the team with 6 shots on goal each, and hits was a big thing last night, especially on the Toronto Maple Leafs side. Frazier McLaren was the only player on the Leafs who did not get at least one hit. But man, how about this? James Van Riemsdyk would lead the team with 5 hits. But look at this. Mark Frazier, Cody Franson, Jared Smithson, their new free agent signing play. He made his Toronto Maple Leafs debut last night. And Jake Gardiner, each with 4 hits. My gosh. Unbelievable. And then Paul Ranger would lead the team with 4 blocked shots. But not a good night for Mark Frazier, though. Even though he had 4 hits, he also had 4 giveaways. So, not a good night for Mark Frazier, that's for sure. Nazem Kadri had 3. He wasn't that good either. However, one player who was good was the goaltender, Jonathan Bernier. He improves now to 7-4-0, and he made 34 saves and 35 shots, a .971 save percentage through 65 minutes of play. Unbelievable. Jonathan Bernier, he played an unbelievable performance. Congratulations to him. For the New Jersey Devils, Dinas Zubris and Eric Jelena both led the team with 5 shots on goal. Again, not as much as Phil Kessel and Paul Rangers. Phil Kessel and Joffrey Lupul 6 shots, but still, Devils outshot the Leafs in the game. Damian Brunner and Jaromir Jagr each with 4. No points for Jaromir Jagr last night, which means he does not get his 1700th. Andy Green and Steve Bernier and Anton Volchenkov led the team with 4 hits each as well. So, it was a good night for the Devils, despite losing, honestly. Corey Schneider would get the start in goal for the Devils, and he has not been what they thought he was going to be, at least not yet. I mean, part of that was obviously he was hurt for a while, but still, he only has 1 win on the season, and it was that 4-0 shutout victory over the New York Rangers. He's now 1-4-3, but he played well. 27 saves and 28 shots, and .964 save percentage. In fact, in a lot of these games he's played well, but just has not been able to get the wins. So, either way, congratulations to the Toronto Maple Leafs and to David Clarkson on beating his former team. They'll have a couple more meetings this season, that's for sure. Next, we have the Nashville Predators and the Winnipeg Jets in Winnipeg. Evander Kane returning to the lineup. Very disappointed he missed the Wednesday's game against the Chicago Blackhawks. And that motivation allowed for a 5-0 shutout victory for the Nashville Predators. Excuse me, for the Winnipeg Jets, I should say. The Preds, not a good night for them. For the Winnipeg Jets, they did most of their scoring in the first period. Their goals coming from Brian Little, his 9th of the year, assisted by Andrew Ladd and Blake Wheeler. Then Olli Jokinen would get his 3rd of the year, assisted by Evander Kane and Keaton Ellerby. Keaton Ellerby playing his 3rd game since being claimed off waivers by the Winnipeg Jets, and he gets his first point in a Winnipeg Jets sweater. His first assist and first point. So congratulations to him. Then Eric Tangradi would get his first goal of the season and his 2nd as a Winnipeg Jet overall. He only had 1 last year, assisted by Dustin Byfuglien and Grant Clitsome. Then Devin Setoguchi would score his 4th of the year, assisted by Olli Jokinen. And then last but not least, in the 3rd period, Brian Little would get his 2nd of the game and 10th of the year, assisted by Andrew Ladd and Blake Wheeler. Lots of multi-point performers here. A goal and an assist for Olli Jokinen, 2 assists for Andrew Ladd, 2 goals for Brian Little, and 2 assists for Blake Wheeler. 7 penalty minutes for Adam Party. He led the team in that regard. Shots on goal, Brian Little led the team with 5. So, good job by him. Grant Clitsome leading the team with 4 hits. And those are the standout statistics here. But the real star of the game had to be the goaltender, Andrei Pavlik, who may just have had the best game of his career last night. A 41-save shutout, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable. The Preds had all the shots going in that game last night. They just couldn't score. Andrei Pavlik shut the door. Congratulations to him. For the Nashville Predators, man, just a dismal night, especially for a certain Craig Smith, who was a team worst -4. Minuses all around for the team. Only Victor Stahlberg and Patrick Hornquist were able to remain even. Ryan Clune led the team with 7 penalty minutes. But how about the shooting gallery for the Preds? Seth Jones was the only player who didn't get a shot on goal. Him and Kevin Klein were the only 2 players who didn't get shots on goal. How about this? Listen, Craig Smith, Patrick Hornquist, and Roman Josi, each with 5 shots on goal. Victor Stahlberg with 4. It's unbelievable. Hits, Ryan Clune led the team with 5. That's unbelievable. So the Preds dominated the game. They just couldn't score. Carter Hutton would get the start in goal, and it was not a good night by him whatsoever. Just 5 saves on only 8 shots, a .625 save percentage. Those are disgusting statistics. He was pulled almost immediately for Marek Mazanec. Marek Mazanec, for him, it was his first NHL game, and he didn't help out the cause, although he did play better than Carter Hutton. 22 saves on 24 shots, a .917 save percentage. So, congratulations to the Winnipeg Jets on a huge win at home. Next, we have the Calgary Flames and the Colorado Avalanche in Colorado. The Avalanche coming up with yet another victory, looking to erase a dismal performance against the Nashville Predators the other night. They do just that by winning at home by a final score of 4-2. For the Colorado Avalanche, their goals being scored by Ryan O'Reilly, his 6th of the year, assisted by P.A. Parenteau and Jan Hejda. Then Paul Stastny would score a power play goal for his 6th of the year, assisted by Eric Johnson and Andre Benoit. Then John Mitchell would get his 2nd of the year. He had 10 last year, assisted by Nathan McKinnon and Corey Sarich. And then with 3 seconds left in the game, Matt Duchene would cap off his 11th of the year via an empty net goal, assisted by Ryan O'Reilly. So a big performance by the Avs, who now improved to 13-2-0, I believe. The team just played absolutely tremendous hockey. Ryan O'Reilly, the only multi-point performer last night, with a goal and an assist. No one really stood out as far as shots on goal are concerned. Hits, Nick Holden led the team with 4 block shots. Eric Johnson, 5 block shots. He had a really good game. And John Sebastian Giguère would get the start and goal, and he improves to 5-0-0. He remains undefeated and remains probably the best backup goaltender in the league right now. 30 saves on 32 shots, a .938 save percentage. What a performance by J.S. Giguère, that's for sure. Congratulations to him. For the Calgary Flames, both of their goals would be scored by Mike Camilleri, who of course is on watch by many teams, his 6th and 7th of the year, respectively. The first would be assisted by Michael Backlund and Jiri Hudler, and the second would be assisted by Jiri Hudler and Michael Backlund. So those 3 guys doing all the scoring, Michael Backlund and Jiri Hudler, 2 assists each, Mike Camilleri 2 goals. Mike Camilleri also led the team with 7 shots on goal. He was the 2nd star of the game. He had a night. Jiri Hudler had 5. That line was just really good last night. And Chris Butler led the team with 4 block shots. Kali Ramo would get the start in goal, and not a great performance by him. 23 saves on 26 shots and .885 save percentage. Not the best performance by him, that's for sure. Congratulations to the Colorado Avalanche on a humongous win. And last but certainly not least, this is a game to talk about, folks. The Buffalo Sabres and the Anaheim Ducks in Anaheim. Buffalo coming off a 2-0 loss the previous night to the Los Angeles Kings, playing the second of a back-to-back. Looking to have at least a good record versus the California teams after upsetting the San Jose Sharks 5-4 in a shootout. They lose 2-0 to the LA Kings. but they could not. But they ran into an absolute nightmare. A rematch with the Anaheim Ducks. They played They played not too long ago in Buffalo, and the Ducks crushed them in that game 6-3. Well, in this game they crushed them even worse. 6-2 was now the final score in the rematch. Buffalo could not get their revenge. They decided to go up against the wrong team last night. The Anaheim Ducks, man, what a season it has been for them. They remain the best team in the NHL, and just a lot of achievements by them in this game, that is for sure. But none with a greater achievement than forward Ryan Getzlaf. How about it, folks? Ryan Getzlaf, a playmaker, at long last, getting his first career NHL hat trick. He had been waiting for that one for a long time. We had talked so much about Corey Perry and the fact that he hadn't gotten his first NHL hat trick back when he was looking for it. This was back in 2010, 2011. Many people talked about how he couldn't get a hat trick. Many people failed to recognize Getzlaf and the fact that he couldn't get a hat trick. He finally got one. His 8th, 9th, and 10th of the year, respectively. And not only was it a hat trick, but it was a first period hat trick and a 4-point first period. He had an assist, his 12th assist of the season in that period as well. But for Getzlaf, his 8th goal of the season would come on the power play, assisted by Cam Fowler and Dustin Penner. Then his 12th assist of the season came on Cam Fowler's 2nd of the year, which also came on the power play. That was the secondary assist. Dustin Penner would get the primary assist. So Cam Fowler, his 2nd of the year on the power play from Dustin Penner and Ryan Getzlaf. Then Ryan Getzlaf would get his 9th of the year and the 2nd of the game unassisted. That was off a funny bounce where the Buffalo player shot it around the boards. It went off the boards, off the stanchion, and right to Getzlaf's stick. He had to shoot it real quick because it was a rolling puck. And then after that, with 20 seconds to play in the first period, Ryan Getzlaf completes his hat trick with his 10th of the season, assisted by Corey Perry and Dustin Penner. That line was just unbelievable in last night's game. Then after that, Dustin Penner would get his 3rd of the season, assisted by Corey Perry. Dustin Penner also with a 4-point night, a goal and 3 assists in the game. Corey Perry 2 assists in the game, so 10 points for that line. And then late in the second, Andrew Cogliano would get his 4th of the year, assisted by Rickard Rakell and Daniel Winnick. But for Rickard Rakell, congratulations to him. He gets his first NHL assist and first NHL point in this game. He had a tremendous game last night, that's for sure. Not an overly physical game by any stretch, also. But how about the multi-point performers? Cam Fowler, a goal and an assist. Corey Perry, 2 assists. Ryan Getzlaf, a hat trick plus an assist for 4 points. And Dustin Penner, a goal and 3 assists for 4 points. A +3 for that line last night. And as far as penalties go, Lucas Sbisa took the only 2 penalties for the Ducks. He had 4 minutes in penalties. Big performance. And the shots on goal, the Ducks dominate with 46 shots on goal compared to Buffalo's 27. No player had more shots on goal in last night's game than Teemu Selanne, who had 7. Ryan Getzlaf was 2nd on the team with 6. Andrew Cogliano, Corey Perry, and Devante Smith-Pelly each with 4. Hits, Lucas Sbisa led the team in that regard, 5 hits for him. And not too much in the way of block shots. Devante Smith-Pelly, he had 3 giveaways in the game. It wasn't a tremendous performance by him. Frederik Andersen would get the start in goal for the Ducks in this game. And now he, like John Sebastian Giguere, the former Duck, he improves to 5-0-0. He has won the first 5 games now of his NHL career. posting 25 saves on 27 shots, a .926 save percentage. Congratulations to him on a huge performance. That's for sure. For the Buffalo Sabres, their only 2 goals of the game, both coming from Mikhail Grigorenko, his first and second of the year, respectively. He only had 1 goal through 25 games last season and 4 assists for 5 points. Now he's 2 goals and 1 assist for 3 points on the season through 14 games. But he now has 3 NHL goals overall. But for Mikhail Grigorenko, he was really the only player on the Buffalo Sabres last night that even played remotely well. His first goal of the game was assisted by Cody McCormick and Drew Stafford, while his second goal of the game was assisted by Corey Tropp and Cody McCormick. For Corey Tropp, it was his first assist of the season and first point of the season. And actually, he didn't play in the NHL at all in last year's lockout-shortened season. So this is his first, for Corey Tropp, this is his first point since March 27th of 2012 when he had an assist on the road against the Washington Capitals. So that was his last NHL point. So Corey Tropp really happy to get this one. He's 24 years of age. That's for sure. Despite the loss. We had talked all season long about how Ryan Miller has just been the bread and butter of this team. He has been the only upside of this team. Not last night, folks. Last night, he looked like a goaltender who was just lost and out of his place. And a lot of that did have to do with no offense or defense in front of him. However, but man, Ryan Miller, not a good night for him by any stretch. Just 28 saves on 34 shots, an .824 save percentage. He let up all 6 of the Buffalo goals. He played both of the first 2 periods. He played the full periods. Jonas Enroth, who played against the Anaheim Ducks the last time these two met, would come in for the third period. He faced 12 shots. He made all 12 saves in a scoreless third period. As far as the statistics go for the forwards and defensemen, Mikhail Grigorenko 2 goals, Cody McCormick 2 assists. No one really bad in plus minus. Cody McCormick and Nikita Zadorov getting the only penalties for Buffalo in the game, as again it wasn't a very physical night. Mikhail Grigorenko led the team with 4 shots on goals. One thing that stood out though was for the Buffalo Sabres, one thing they did dominate the game in was hits. Johan Larsson and Marcus Foligno dominating the game with 7 hits each. That is remarkable. Steve Ott and Corey Tropp both had 4. So lots of hitting going on from a Buffalo Sabre standpoint last night. That is one thing they have been decent at this season, is being a physical team. So, but again, other than the hitting, not a really great night for the Buffalo Sabres by any stretches. This season just continues to be long for them. They are the worst team in the NHL. It was David versus Goliath out there last night. The Sabres now just happy that both of their games with the Anaheim Ducks are out of the way. I don't think they want to suffer the 2 losses they suffered again. So congratulations to the Anaheim Ducks on a huge win, and congratulations to Ryan Getzlaf on his first career hat trick, and Ricard Raquel on his first NHL point. Just overall congratulations to the Anaheim Ducks. And last but certainly not least, folks, that is all the games. Now we go to this day in hockey history from November 9th. In 1957, Claude Provost, who played for the Montreal Canadiens at the time, scored the fastest goal from the start of a period in all of NHL history. After only 4 seconds in the second period, he scored a goal against the Boston Bruins on November 9th, 1957. Montreal would go on to win this game by a final score of 4-2. This is still the NHL record, which was only once repeated by Dennis Savard on January 12, 1986. Claude Provost won the Stanley Cup 9 times with the Montreal Canadiens, and still he is not a member of the NHL Hockey Hall of Fame. He is the only player among those who won 8 or more Stanley Cups who is not in the NHL Hockey Hall of Fame. And that is your NHL moment, folks. And that will do it for episode 99 of Hockey on the Spot. Wayne Gretzky, I hope you're watching because this is your number right here. Thank you all for watching, though. This has been Hockey on the Spot. Brandon Barenfeld. I'm Brandon Barenfeld. I'll see you guys again tomorrow when I do my 100th episode. So be sure to tune in for that. Thank you all and have a great day.